What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, I didn't talk about the Nintendo Direct Mario 40th anniversary. I don't know how many. I guess it was 40th anniversary. Blah blah blah. Because all the crazy stuff happening, right? But I want to talk about that now. Not so much the Direct. I mean, 1 point of the Direct, maybe 2 points of the Direct. But the other thing about Nintendo is I've always said Nintendo is a very evil company, evil corporation, whatever you want to call it. They hide behind the guise of, oh, we're family friendly, this is a game for kids and stuff like that, right? But in reality, they're probably the worst of the big three. You know, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Nintendo's the worst. Mainly, not because of the lawsuits. They had a lawsuit against, I think it was D-Brand. They won that one, and now D-Brand can't do this, can't do that. They can't put Nintendo anything on their products, like say, like this is for the Switch. They can't even say that. I don't know how they're gonna get around that. They had I think they had a peripheral for the Switch called the Glitch or something. They can't even use that because it's too similar. They got, yeah. I mean, they'll still survive because honestly, the Switch 2, it may have sold what 6 million already, but I mean, I think like with Metroid, the new Metroid coming out, that looks pretty cool. So you know that might boost sales or whatever. But honestly, the thing about the Switch 2 is that it's a cross-gen console, meaning it is being hampered by the last gen because, well, mainly because Nintendo's kind of positioning it that there's only a few exclusives that are on the Switch. A lot of the games are going to be both Switch and Switch 2, which is a good business move, but at the same time, it's like, you know, it's going to hamper sales because you don't have to buy a Switch, especially for the parents who have kids. It's like, yeah, I'm not spending $500. I'll just get the $190, $249, whatever they put it up to, $249 one, the cheapy deepy one, $229, whatever it is. So, I don't know, we'll see. But that's not even what I want to talk about, actually. It's about the patent that they filed for and won. And first of all, it's Nintendo's in the wrong for filing the patent in the first place. The U.S. Patent Office is in the wrong for granting the patent. And the patent is basically the mechanics of Pokemon, having a Pokeball, and you throw it, and a monster summons out of the Pokeball. But they say a sphere. If you have a sphere and you can summon monsters or creatures or whatever from the sphere, then that's ours now. Nintendo owns that. We have the patent for that. And I'm like, okay, so what if I throw a cube? Are y'all going to come after me because I threw a cube instead of a sphere? See how the language is weird. So, I mean, you know what? If I were Power World, I'd be like, yeah, let's make it a triangle or something. Let's make it a diamond shape. Diamond. It's a special monster diamond. I don't know, but it's just... I've heard a bunch of content creators talk about it, and they're saying the only reason why Nintendo's doing this is for the smaller indie devs that can't afford to go against Nintendo. If, I don't know, Microsoft decides to make a Pokemon-like where the main character summons creatures to fight against their enemies through a geometric shape that isn't a sphere, you think Nintendo's gonna go after Microsoft? Do you think? No, they're not, because Microsoft has more money. Microsoft has more lawyers. Okay, so it's like a bully tactic for indie devs, and so this should turn off all indie devs. Like, you see what they did to Power World. Power World had to change how the thing happened. I mean, it still happens. It's just like, I don't know. They come out of sparkle dust. I don't even know how it happens anymore. But they don't have the spheres anymore. So I'm like, okay, but there's ways around it, and I think. Honestly, here's the thing that I think. I think that the creators, the devs out there will find creative ways to get around that patent that will ultimately make better games. See, the problem with Nintendo is that they're kind of like Sony in a way. Maybe it's a Japanese thing. They created this patent in order to protect themselves against smaller devs or smaller studios making a better version of a game that they already make. For example, Pal World. Pal World is arguably better than Pokemon. Arguably. It's not the same game, but people construe it as that. They misconstrue it as the same game. And it's more akin to Conan Exiles. I played a hot minute of Conan Exiles, and I was like, this is not the game for me. And then I played Power World a little bit, and I was like, this is just like Conan said with Pokemon-looking dragon creatures and stuff. I was like, I don't like this either. So I stopped playing that. It really isn't like Pokemon. It just has an aesthetic that is similar to Pokemon, or what was the game that Pokemon bit off? It was Dragon Quest, or I can't remember. It's one of those RPGs back in the day. So Pokemon isn't original either. So Nintendo, they're so litigious, and I'm like, yo, I hope they get smacked. I hope somebody comes along and puts them in their place, because they're running buck wild. I told y'all they were evil. Nobody listened to me. They're like, oh, they make family friendly stuff. Like, they ain't family friendly. They're just trying to get you to buy stuff for your kids. That's what it is. They're trying to trick you. They don't love you. They don't care about the kids, except in the respect that they want to make money off of them. That's all. And who's buying them? Not the kids. The adults that have the kids are buying this stuff. And it was the same way back in the day. You were a kid, you were like, Mom, I want the Pokemon, I want the Nintendo. And then they buy you a Nintendo to shut you up. And that's what happened back in the day, because it was the first gen of kids. You know what I'm saying? But now, it's the third gen. So the parents are buying it for the kids. Some of the parents are buying it too. Some people with money, they go buy the Switch too. I don't know of any parents that are buying Switch 2s for their kids. I don't know if that's happening. And also, like I said in previous videos, these kids, they don't, I mean, Switch is for little kids. Little kids who are still watching, goofy kid shows on YouTube and stuff. Learning their ABCs. That's what the Switch is for. But kids, like young adult kids going into teenagers, tweens and such, they want laptops. They on their phone. They don't want a Switch. Switch is for babies. They're not babies. They don't want to be construed as babies. And you could put all these fancy hipsters or yipsters or whatever you want to call them. I call them yipsters because they're Gen Y or whatever. Or zipsters, Gen Z. Whatever. Whatever stir it is. Alpha sters. You can put all them in your videos. I'm playing the Switch with my friends. And all these people are in their 20s. I'm like, all right, but that's not the normal. Normally, 20-year-olds are like on laptops and PCs, or Xboxes. I mean, the dumb ones, they go play PlayStation. But I'm just saying, they're not playing Switch. Switch is for kids and Nintendo adults. Okay, I'll give the Nintendo adults a little shout out. Just like the Disney adults, you got Nintendo adults, and that's fine. But honestly, if you're a well-rounded gamer, Switch ain't it. Switch ain't enough. You need Forza Horizons. You need a little Halo. You need a little Gears. You need a little Fable. I can keep going because Microsoft got so many games. I mean, do you need like a Last of Us 2? Yeah. I mean, the kids aren't playing that. It's not really a happy, joyful, colorful game. Anyway, a little sidetrack. But Nintendo has been and will be forever evil. They've been evil for a long time, and their continued actions are just illustrating how evil they are. Evil and aggressive towards all the little guys, anyone who is threatening their product, I guess, if you will. And it's not really, they're not protecting their product. They're not protecting Pokemon. They're trying to eliminate the little devs that could possibly make a better game than, Game Science or whoever makes the Pokemon games, which they've been sucking people saying Pokemon has sucked for a while. I don't know. And then Power World comes around like, oh snap, this little no-name, no-frills dev came around and made a better Pokemon game, even though it's not a Pokemon game, than Nintendo. And that's why that's all stuff is happening. And this is why I hate Nintendo, and it's the same for Sony. The behavior of anti-competitiveness. They are trying to stifle competition instead of making a better product that beats the competition. I have the best product. Everybody's gonna buy mine because I have the best Pokemon. You can't do it because you suck. We the best. They're not doing that. They're like, no, we're just gonna sue everybody. Nobody can make it. We own the Pokemon mechanics, so nobody can make a game that's like ours. Blah blah blah. Sony does the same thing. They're like, oh yeah, we just gonna we gonna just try to get rid of these guys. You know, Sega. Oh yeah, no. Let's get EA off of that. Let's just get it on PlayStation. So there's no EA Sports on Dreamcast no more. What happened? You know, same thing they wanted to do to Xbox, but they couldn't. And the funny thing is, this is the funny thing. I've mentioned this before, but Sony's been in the business. Sony's been around for a long time. They've been in the video game business for 30 years or so. Why are they still a small billion-dollar company? You know, small, but they haven't grown as much as Microsoft. And Microsoft hasn't been around as long as Sony, which is hilarious. Microsoft came around in the 70s, definitely 80s. I think it was the late 70s that Bill Gates started in the garage with, I do not remember who who was there. But, you know, once they got DOS, I think they got DOS or early version of Windows or something from Xerox. Oh, it was I think it was Windows. It was the early version of Windows from, I believe it was Xerox. They bought it from Xerox. And that was it. You know, I think that's how it happened. I may be conflating facts and timelines, but anyway, Sony's an older company. They should be worth more, but they're not. And you say, well, why aren't they worth more? I mean, that's on Sony because they were just hardware. They got into video games. Then they had to kind of be software. But at that point, when it came into the video games, they were still hardware. They bought the API to make the PlayStation work. You know who made that? Psygnosis. They bought Psygnosis for their IP, for the API, to make the PlayStation work. Where's Psygnosis today? Which turned into London Studios. Where are they today? They're gone. They closed them down, which is a shame because Psygnosis, they made one of my, I'm gonna say one of my favorite games only because it's nostalgia. It's called The Killing Game Show. It was on the Amiga 5. I had it on the Amiga 500. One of the first games I bought for the Amiga 500. I liked it because of the music and like the intro was like all CG for the time. It was like, yo, this is crazy. And then the game is just like I forgot, how do you describe? It's a side-scrolling shooter that you're like, you have tank legs. You have little legs, and you're just like a robot running, and the water's rising. The rising water game? I don't know what you call those type of games, but you're running from the rising tide, basically. And it was a goofy little game, but the graphics were cool and stuff. I'm gonna see if I gotta find that game. I looked up the intro a while ago. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. They had like one polygon in the. It's really cool. It was really cool how they did that stuff. Anyway, you know, whatever. Sony, Nintendo, they're on something, and they're. I mean, Sony at least is realizing that, oh, we have to do things differently if we want to maintain and maybe get better and survive at least in this industry. Nintendo's not learning any lessons, and yes, they make good software. I was about to say hardware. No, they make hardware that can play their software, which is good. Are they pushing any boundaries? No, and it's mainly because of the art style and such that they choose. It's cartoony. It's kiddie. That's their stick. That's their shtick. That's what they do. That's their demographic. There's nothing wrong with that because that's an audience that needs to be fed. It needs to be served. But after those kids grow up, they're like, oh, they still have nostalgia for Nintendo, but they also have an Xbox. They also have a PC. If they got a PlayStation, then whatever, you know. But most of them go to PC, you know. And so now with this Xbox, the ROG Xbox Ally, and you know, the prices have been leaked. I think the Justin Legary $899, $549. The rumors were true, I guess. But you know, do you think a former Switch player who is now a teenager, if they had the opportunity to get a ROG Xbox Ally for $549 or a Switch 2 for $499, $50 more, which one do you think they're gonna get? One that can play all their Steam games because they have a Steam collection, because them kids don't play. They on DayZ and all these other guys. I was like, yo, y'all are. They're gonna get this. They're gonna get the ROG. They're gonna get the ROG Xbox. They're gonna get that over the Switch every day. These teens, see, that's what Nintendo's failing. They're failing to realize that audience. The only thing that's keeping people in the Nintendo ecosystem are their exclusives, but that's the danger. They have to be enough. And Sony was playing that same game, but it wasn't enough. And you realize, oh, most players on PlayStation aren't really playing the exclusives. They're playing Madden, FIFA, Minecraft, Fortnite. Those games can be played on the ROG. All those games, can they be played on the Switch too? No Call of Duty this year. So if you're a tween and you want to play Call of Duty, either you already have a laptop, you're going to play it through that, or you're going to get a new handheld. You're not going to get a Switch 2 to play Call of Duty. Even if it's on Switch next year, you still don't want to play it on there because it's not the best version. You need them frames. You need certain things when you play Call of Duty if you want to be good. You know what I'm saying? If you want to, you know, you want to snipe fools. But nah, they don't get it, and it's fine because they have their demographics or whatever. But you know, the things that they're doing, I always have a problem with companies and corporations that harm the industry by their behavior. And Microsoft, they've been the less egregious. Sony has been the most egregious, and Nintendo is starting to catch up to Sony. And it's actions like this, you know, patenting a game mechanic like Monolith did with the Nemesis system. Nemesis system never showed up in a game ever again because they couldn't get it stifles creativity. I'm like, yo, these are game makers. It's like an artist. It's like a, I don't know, art company or whatever. A certain artist says, I can only use fan brushes. I patented the fan brush. Nobody can use it, just me. It's like, well, I need the fan brush to make my pretty clouds in the sky. I can't paint no more with it. Nope, you better find some other way to do it. And you know, artists are creative, so they'll figure out a way to, you know, do what they need to do. But it's stifling the industry, and like I said, these creatives, they will find a way to not usurp, but they'll find a way to either make something better or go around the law or whatever the rules are, or make something better that makes that patent irrelevant. It's like, yeah, we don't need your stupid ball summoning patent anymore because it's dumb, you know, so you keep that. And I hope that's what happens. I hope that it kind of pushes these devs to find more creative solutions to those mechanics. And I hope that I hope Pokemon fails, honestly. I hope that they do, because, you know, I hope they continue. I just want them to fail because it's inexcusable. You know, these companies should be wanting a healthy industry, not being greedy and saying it's only us, we want to be healthy, nobody else. That doesn't help. That doesn't help the industry. You have to, everybody, there's enough people, there's enough money, enough people on this planet for everybody in the industry to eat. Just make good stuff and don't stifle competition. Don't try to prohibit your competition to do their best work, because we see it. We see it happening. You know, the casuals don't care. They're just like, oh, this game came out. Let me buy that for Jimmy or for me because I'm a Nintendo. But us who are actually paying attention to what y'all doing, the moves that y'all making, it's frustrating. You know, it makes a console warrior want to quit. Not really. I always love video games, you know, because of what they were. And that's another thing. Speaking on the other side of Nintendo, because Nintendo don't, but Genesis does what Nintendo. Sega does what Nintendo don't. I'm gonna keep yelling the praises of Shinobi because it's such a good game, and I feel a resurgence of Sega coming on. I know I said this last video, but I feel a resurgence, so I'm waiting for those other games and blah blah blah. But anyway, rumble. I appreciate you hanging out. Like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Nintendo doing the Nintendo things. Nintendo being foolish with their patent troll, basically a patent troll. The lawsuits and the Nintendo Direct was so dumb. I didn't even talk about the 3D, the Virtual Boy stuff. I'm like, what is that thing? Is $100 for a piece of plastic. Come on, son. They have lost the cardboard, the Labo version. $25 for cardboard. Nintendo's lost their mind. I hope nobody buys. I mean, some people will, out of more curiosity. There'll be some YouTubers out there. I bought the Nintendo Virtual Boy clamshell slappity. It's just plastic that you put your Switch to in. I'm like, oh, man. I hope it fails. I hope it fails miserably. I hope they lose money on it. That's all I say. I hope Nintendo's losing money. Just like Sony. I'm sorry, not Sega. I hope that's like Sony's losing money doing stupid things. I hope Nintendo loses money doing stupid things because they don't deserve to be successful with how they're behaving in the industry and harming the industry. All these things. Blah, blah, blah. Bye. Peace. And I talk to you on the next one too. Wait.